Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Paul. I started the DiceyReview.com, and tonight we're going to be going over a game by Haba Games and designed by Rudiger Dorn named Karuba. This is a really fun, family-friendly game for 2 to 4 players that has you trying to take your different colored adventurer meeples and have them traverse to the different temples that match their color. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how to set the game up. And then after that, we'll talk about gameplay and the different actions that you can take. Alright, so as you can see, setup has already happened. Setup is very simple for this game. It's a little bit time consuming sorting some of the tiles, but mostly what you're going to do is you're just going to pick one player who will stack all of their tiles in a random shuffled order face down, and that player is going to draw tiles throughout the game, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. What you're also going to do is you're going to set up all of your temples and all of your adventurers on different parts of the board. The temples are going to go up on the top and right side of the board, the jungle sides, and then the adventurers are going to be set up on some part of the beach. All players have to set up their boards exactly the same when it comes to temples and adventurers, so everyone has to start with the exact same setup. And the only rule with temples and adventurers is they have to be at least 30 degrees away from each other, so they have to have a little bit of space. Other than that, you can kind of pick whatever configuration you want. So everybody sets up their board the same way, and then you'll put out all of the jewels and gold, the little cubes that come with the game, out in the middle of the table. You'll also put out treasures in the middle of the table for whoever gets to the temples, the points that they're going to get from that, and it'll tell you it's different with each game, how many people are playing, how many treasures you put out. So you'll put those out. And then for the people who are not drawing tiles, what you want to do is just set up your tiles. Each tile has a number on the top left, as you can see. You'll just want to set up each of your tiles so that you can find them easily when someone calls out a number, because what's going to happen is one player is going to call out a number each turn that the other players will then have to use that tile somewhere on their board. So everybody else will put out their tiles something like this. You don't have to have it organized like this. You can just spread them out randomly and find them when the time comes, but it helps to have them ordered numerically like this. After you've done that, you're ready to start playing. The game is fully set up. So let's get into the actions and the goal of the game. Alright, so now we've talked a little bit about setup. So let's talk a little bit about gameplay and what you're trying to accomplish with this game. Now, as I said, what you're trying to do as the player is you're trying to get the different colored meeples to reach their colored temple. So for instance, you want this meeple to reach this temple, you want this meeple to reach that temple, etc. What you're going to do on your turn is the player who was designated as the draw player, the player who has all the tiles face down, they're going to draw one tile each turn. And they're going to call out the number on the top left to all of the other players. So you're going to see right here, we drew tile number 3. So what we would do is we would draw this tile and then say 3, and then everyone else would have to pick number 3. So they would have to find number 3 in the lineup of tiles and then take an action with these tiles. The things that you can do with your tiles whenever you draw them is you can either place them on the board, and the only restriction for placing the tiles is they have to be placed with the number facing the top left side, so you can't flip them around and place them however you want to. They have to be placed right side up, and they can really be placed anywhere. There's no restriction on dead ends or anything like that. For instance, you could place a tile that looks like that. You could place it, you could place it like that, so that it looks like a road dead ends into that tile. That's not an illegal placement, so you could place the tiles like that. And whenever you place these tiles, if they have a symbol on them like this one does, a jewel or some gold, you're going to take that from the supply and put it on the tile to be possibly collected later. So that's one thing that you can do with the tiles. Now let's say that we've managed to place a few different tiles out, and we've created a little bit of a grid. All right, we've got a diamond tile right, or a gold tile right there, so we'll go ahead and put a gem on that tile. Let's see, and then we've got this one. So let's say that we've taken 4 turns and we've placed all of our tiles. On the 5th turn, what we could do is, with the tile that we draw, instead of placing it, I'm trying to get one that has a little bit more spaces here. So whenever we draw these tiles, instead of placing them on the board, what you can do is you can discard the tiles to move any one of your adventurers. So let's say, for instance, that I drew this tile right here. What I could do is I could say, alright, I'm going to discard this tile to move. Now when you discard a tile, you're going to look at how many access points the tile has on it for a road. So let's say, for instance, that this tile has 1, 2, 3 points that the road is either entering or leaving that tile. That means that if you discard this tile, you can move up to 3 spaces with any of your meeples. Now, the only restrictions with moving character meeples is that you can't split your movement. So for instance, you couldn't say, alright, I want to move 3 movement. I'll move 2 with this guy and then 1 with one of my other meeples. You have to move 1 meeple with all of the movement in a tile. You also can't hop over other meeples. So if this guy was right here and then yellow were to come along, they couldn't jump over and pass that player. That's not a legal move. And these meeples also can't end their turn in the same tile, so this player couldn't come up and stay here. The adventurers have to remain out of each other's way, basically. But those are really the only restrictions. What you could do is you could say, I'm going to move my meeple up to 3 spaces. And the reason that I say you might want to move your meeple up to 3 spaces is that if you end your movement on any tile that has a gem laying out there, you get to keep that gem. But if you pass the tile, you don't get to keep it. So for instance, if you use the full 3 spaces to move with this meeple, you could go 1, 2, 3. Now, since you ended your movement on this tile, you get to keep this gold, but you would lose out on that diamond. So let's say instead you wanted to say, well, I could move up to 3 spaces, but I'm only going to move 2 and end my movement on this tile so that I can keep this gem. What you're going to do is you would get to keep that gem, and you get to place that gem on the color of the adventurer that discovered it over here on the faces. So this is our female adventurer. You would put that gem on her face to let you know that she collected that for you, and then at the end of the game, that would be worth a point. So those are really the only 2 things that you can do on your turn. So let's say that we've managed to build our roads to look like this, so that a path has been created for purple to move all of the way to their temple and score points. What would happen is you would take different turns to discard tiles and move along the path, and then when you get close to the temple, you would have to spend a movement to actually move into the temple, and if you were the first player to reach that temple, you would get to draw the most valuable treasure tile from the common space that matches the color of that temple. So for instance, we just reached the purple temple, so we would get to grab the most valuable purple treasure that's still available and collect that for in-game scoring. So you can see that whoever reaches the temples quickly will score the highest number of points, but it's also difficult because you have to work with the number of tiles that you're given and the way that the tiles shake out. So that's scoring temples and how that will help you at the end of the game. Once again, after the game has ended, you're going to score up all of these points. You're going to score up the points for any of these gems or gold that you have collected. And the gold is worth 2 points. The gems are worth 1 point. And whoever has the most points is the winner. This is a fantastic game. I'm going to talk about it more in depth in my written article, but this is just a quick run through to show you how the game is played. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at thedicey@gmail.com or post on the blog itself, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. I'm also going to post this video to YouTube. If you have any questions, you can also post in the comments there. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.